the IBC world.
Yeah.
This is something that sounds like you were introduced to when you were working at Nyland. Tell me about like that. How did you get introduced to it? And what was the light bulb moment for you with infinite banking?
Yeah, man. So that is really the journey. So up to 2008, I was like looking to people to like explain the markets to me because I didn't understand it, right?
Yeah.
Like they teach you all this financial software and how to read the software. And you have a lot of like wholesalers, people who work for these for mutual funds and stuff like that. And they'll come in and all these managed fund groups, they'll come in and teach. So a lot of the teaching is coming from the market, right? They're teaching you, and then you're putting it in this financial software to try to learn what standard deviation means and beta and all the different stuff.
Right.
Well, I thought I had understood that. And 2008 happens and the market crashes. And there I am literally, palms up to the sky saying, hey, what happened? And I'm going to Justin, I'm going to all these other mentors I had and saying, what happened? And the answer is, I don't know. And that wasn't the scariest part to me, Thomas. The answer is that when I asked the same question, is that what's going to keep it from happening again?
Sure.
Nobody had that answer.
Okay.
And I'm a guy that likes to be in control, right? Like, I mean, I did a lot of dumb
most
things.
athletes do.
Done a lot of dumb things in my life, but only to a point where I felt like I was still in control of what the thing was. At least in my brain, I thought I was in control.
Mm-hmm.
And this was super scary, man. And so I didn't know what to do. And there was a conference that we would go to every January, and it was all over the country. And January 2009, it was down in Orlando, Florida. And so I'm down there, and I hear this older gentleman. He's talking on the stage as he would do. I'd seen him every year for 4 years prior.
So this is the fourth time you've heard him?
Yes.
Third or fourth, whatever.
Yeah, so 2005, 6, 7, 8. This was the fifth time.
Okay.
Fifth
Is he
time.
giving the same talk every time?
Same talk.
Okay, so let me go back for the people that don't know. Nelson Nash is what in most people would consider, I want to say invented, but like
the founder.
The founder of Becoming Your Own Banker, which is a phenomenal book if you want to dip your toe in the world of infinite banking and learn more. It's a great book. But he is the one that really brought it to the mainstream as opposed to it being a private thing that only the wealthy did. Correct?
Yeah, he just explained it, right? He
And
broke
he
it
did
down.
such a good job doing it too.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't invent whole life insurance. He didn't invent borrowing money against a whole life insurance policy, but he just explained it for the UMEs of the world. Yeah. So he's up on stage and he's doing like a 15 or 20-minute gig because it's like a 3-day event and they have lots of things they're covering. And there's 300 or 400 financial advisors, professionals in the room. And normally what would happen, Thomas, is he would get off the stage. I would turn to somebody next to me and say, now remind me what that's about again. And the response would be, oh, that's using whole life insurance too. And I'd be like, stop.
Done.
I don't need any more. Because up to that point, really, I was so arrogant that I believed the only reason somebody would sell whole life insurance or use whole life insurance is that they weren't smart enough to have a securities license or know how to invest in the securities markets.
Wow.
I mean, that's the way I thought.
That's great.
Well, this time though, obviously I was like, all my paradigms have been busted.
Because this was a post-crash.
It was right after the crash.
So you've listened to this guy 4 times. On the 5th time, you started listening deeper because of the crash.
Timing's everything for most people, right? Most people have an experience, something's going on, and they're willing to listen.
Wow.
And so he gets off the stage, and at that time there was like breakout sessions. And I went and looked at the list, and one of the breakout sessions was on this whole concept of infinite banking. I was like, that's where I'm going. And so I went and sat in a breakout session. I heard this guy break down just the simplest way of using it. He's talking about like buying cars. I mean, and I was like, this makes so much sense. So at the end of the speech, he was like, hey, by the way, if you guys want to, you can go buy that book, Becoming Your Own Bankers, out in the hallway. I walked out there, I buy the book. That was the last day. I fly home from Orlando. It was in Orlando, Florida. Fly home to Birmingham, Alabama, where I am. I read the books, a couple-hour read, couple-hour flight. I turn the book over, Thomas. On the back of the book, he put his home address and his home phone number. And there it reads, Rocky Ridge Road, Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm thinking,
10 minutes from my house.
I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. Like this guy, I've seen him in Arizona and Louisiana and Florida, and here he is in my backyard. And so I made it my mission from that point forward to go and learn more about it. I remember bringing the book and sitting it down, talking about Justin, sitting it down on Justin's desk and the other founder in the firm we were at and saying, hey, tell me why this doesn't work. You know what the response was?
What?
It doesn't. I was like, but why? And they're like, I don't know. I was like, well, that ain't good enough. We got to figure it out. And so from that point forward, man, it was like everything I could do to learn. So I found out Nelson Nash had this once a year event where he'd bring all these practitioners from all over North America to talk about it. Well, I just missed that event, but I'm talking to him, right? I've called that number. I'm talking to him.
Yeah.
And he says, well, a couple of things. If you really want to learn, you can buy actually the recording to the event.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, tell me where. And so he buys it. I remember sitting down that next weekend, and this is when you had to, you know, still putting in the DVDs and stuff like that.
CDs, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, into the thing. And I sat there for Saturday and Sunday, and I just watched like 16 hours of content. And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is this thing. I think this is
working.
This is the game changer here. And the beauty of it is that at the end of every one of those sessions, each one of those presenters would put their email address and their phone number. And I just started calling them. I mean, I traveled lots of places across the country. We even had people that came to us, got on Zoom calls. I don't think it was Zoom, whatever whatever that GoToMeeting, I think is the last one I can remember before Zoom, but WebEx, you know, some of that stuff. And we would get on those calls, and, you know, I got to learn a lot. And then actually there was a guy out in Kansas that was teaching a bunch. And so I flew out to Kansas, and I spent a lot of time with him, taking, you know, courses and stuff, trying to learn it. And man, it was a ride for sure.